Have you ever been in a relationship or a job where you knew that the thing that needed to be discussed was not being discussed, and because that thing was not being discussed, it was impossible for the relationship to go further. It was impossible for your career to advance because the thing that needed to be said was not being said. When I think about what Skin Deep is, Skin Deep was created because we're sick of the surface level, that we are ready to go deep and actually address the issues that families are facing and the barriers to equality. Skin Deep is a podcast, it's a program, it's a show that really helps those who are involved in social services. I call them helpers, whether you're an institutional helper, whether you're a community helper, or whether you're an individual helper, to talk honestly about race, poverty, and bias. We draw on history, we use emotional intelligence and lived experience to build better support for every family, especially those involved in the child welfare system. Basically, we're sick of the silence surrounding race and poverty in social services, and we make race and poverty easy to talk about and bias impossible to ignore so families in child welfare can thrive and not just survive. I'm Chanel Dupree, a strategic connector with deep Midwestern roots. And I do this work, the work of families, because of my own family history. 3 out of the 4 of my grandparents were raised by someone else. And what became deeply intriguing to me is what happens when things go as planned within a family, but what happens when things don't go as planned. And when I came to law school in Kansas, I was drawn to the field of child welfare. I've spent my legal career working with families in some capacity, from in the courtroom to teaching about the child welfare system, whether that was to parents directly or at a law school. I also was a social service administrator for 5 years and was over 400 employees, and just saw the inner workings of the administrative process, what the federal government provides regarding funding, and then what the actual implementation looks like on a state level, and across different counties and across different communities. Our system has a lot of moving parts, and we have to really begin talking about how all families are impacted. So you're going to hear different themes throughout the shows. You're going to hear themes about trust. You're going to hear themes about when trust was broken. You're going to hear information. But this is the thing, information without application is just more information. So we want to make sure that we're applying it. You're going to hear tips for action. You're going to hear about barriers to equality. What are some things that keep families where they are, that keep communities where they are, and how can we bust past those barriers? You're also going to hear encouragement, because I recognize and I know that helpers need encouragement, that people involved in the system need encouragement. It is important that we do that in a way that is authentic, in a way that's real, because doing this work is not easy, but it's important. You're also going to hear about the purpose of Skin Deep. Why did this course come to be? How did this program come to be? And how is it going to help and impact the social services world? We're also going to hear about, lastly, how we can make things better for families, because families truly do have the answers. We just need to listen to them. And so I just want to invite you to listen to the podcast, to join the newsletter, to get engaged in the Skin Deep ecosystem, because we want to stay connected and we want to go deep and make sure that our families have what they need.